Addressing the 2023 Ghana Bar Conference at the University of Cape Coast, President AKUFO ADDO expressed deep concern over former President Mahama's allegations that the president has packed the judiciary with NPP cronies, describing the comments as very dangerous to the progress of the country.
In the case of appointments to the Supreme Court, because of its unique position in our judicial structure, there are the additional requirements of the consultation of the Council of State and the approval of Parliament. In the overwhelming number of cases of justices designate to the Supreme Court, that approval has been given on a bipartisan basis. You can count on the fingers of a hand the number of justices designate whose approval meant less than unanimous consent. I've gone into this matter in some detail because of a new concept that has been recently introduced into our public discourse by no less a public figure than the fourth president of the Fourth Republic, the perennial NDC presidential candidate, JOHN Mahama. Who has told the world that I have packed the courts with so-called MPP judges, and that one of the key purposes of a putative NDC victory in 2024 will be to enable him balance the courts with so-called NDC judges.
Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame urged lawyers to project a strong and unified message about the exceptional nature of Ghana's judiciary. According to him, lawyers should uphold.
All right, so you heard the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa AKUFO ADDO, responding to the former President, John Mahama, who said that it appears, not it appears, but the current makeup of constitutional judiciary is a bit MPP bias, which is a lot more MPP judges who have been appointed by the President because he wants to avoid accountability when he leaves power. And so NDC lawyers must get ready so that when the NDC wins 2024, if or when, depends on where you stand, the NDC wins the 2024 elections, you get opportunity to go there and even things out and balance things out. Now, it's greeted all kinds of reactions. So we had the sitting presidency, President AKUFO ADDO reacting, we heard him, and also Sophia Akufu and a few other persons who have said, of course, there are some people who have also agreed with the former president, but there's nothing wrong with it. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Some also say, well, it will just destroy our judiciary. So it depends on where you stand and how you see things. You share your own perspective. Let me get a perspective of theirs, the persons who also join us here in the studio. So Honorable George Low is a former member of Parliament for North Dai and one of the most sought-after private legal practitioners here in town. And he's a senior to, in practice, of course, to Kingsley Amwakwa-Boadu, and so himself, he said it. But I'll come to you, Honorable George Low. When you listen to some of the reactions that have greeted the former president's reaction, do you think they are fair?
Well, Moro, good morning to your cherished listeners. Good morning to my co-panelists. I haven't seen some in a while. It's unfortunate that we have very limited time to discuss this thing, but I'll try and make it snappy.
Within the constraints of the time.
Within the constraints of the time. The first question I want to ask also is that, has President AKUFO ADDO ever criticized the composition of
he has, several times.
Several times.
Yes.
That was his opinion then.
Right.
So if today the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress is of the opinion that the bench as constituted now is lopsided towards the New Patriotic Party, what has he said wrong? Does he have his opinion? Is he entitled to it? As a major stakeholder in this country, is he entitled to share his opinion, particularly with party members? First of all, let me underline that unlike the president who goes to the Ghana Bar Association, a very public platform, to say the things that he said, John Mahama was speaking to a group of NDC lawyers sympathetic to the new National Democratic Congress. On that platform, what did he say wrong? If you were not there, or if you did not listen carefully to the and you would say the kind of things that President AKUFO ADDO is saying. Note, President Mahama said, look, when I come to power, please, unlike it used to happen in the past, where people may only be interested in other positions, where people will be saying that, oh, our briefs are so good, we don't want to leave them. We think that practice is good, we don't want to come. Please, some of you should make yourself available for appointment to the bench, because we will need your expertise there to balance out. Don't forget that within the NDC, there are very senior lawyers, and they are very good ones at that. So if President Mahama is saying, avail yourself so that I can use some of your expertise, some of your rich experience as lawyers at the bench, I don't think that he has said anything wrong. And so people should stop saying that he has just come simpliciter to say that I'm coming to appoint NDC lawyers. He never said that. Number two, having other senior lawyers, academics and others spoken in the same vein. No less a person that the national security minister of this country has looked my Lord Justices in their face and told them that the perception out there is that you are doing one-sided politics and that all your rulings are going in favor of the ruling government. And that is dangerous even for the national security dimensions of this country. So what has President Mahama said wrong? That everybody should be jumping over themselves rather than looking at the real evidence on the ground. Now, what is the evidence on the ground? So President Mahama says something. I would have thought that the best way to counter him is by action. The president goes to the bar conference, he says these things. The Chief Justice, by conduct, has shown clearly that President Mahama is totally what? Vindicated.
How so? Tell me.
I will tell you. Under the constitution and the rules of this country, the Chief Justice has the power to empanel a bench or use a single justice of the Supreme Court to listen to anything that is of national importance. And I believe that the rights of the citizens of this country is of utmost constitutional importance.
True.
We were in this country, George Wood asked a judge to sit over a case on New Year's Day. You remember the injunction attached?
2008.
Yeah, 2008.
Yeah.
Even that, a judge was called on New Year's Day to come and listen to an ex-party application. But for the timely intervention of some of us who heard and rushed to the court, what would have happened? That injunction would have been granted. So you see, if the Chief Justice would say, one, contrary to practice, in practice when you go and file, it is the registrar who looks through the records and decides to give you a date, right?
True.
You are here. You file processes in court, you know. The registrar necessarily doesn't take explicit instructions from the...
Wait, he doesn't? He or she doesn't?
You know, he has an administrative duty to perform. The Chief Justice has the power to empanel.
Oh, okay.
It's different from giving a date. For an action. Yet we are told that the CJ says, I'm out of the jurisdiction, don't give any date. Did she anticipate that the NDC will come to court?
No, but here's the thing. Just a quick one. Just a quick one. I know you're running out of time, but if you consider the fact that it's a legal vacation, some of these judges have their own plans.
I am saying
just a second. These judges have their own plans. So won't it make sense for the registrar to find out from the Chief Justice whether she can even empanel them during this legal vacation before he sets a date?
Matter.
Or it doesn't work like that.
I'm saying that when I go to the registry to file a process.
Okay, even during legal vacation.
During legal vacation, the registrars have jobs to do. I am saying that granted that the registrar thought that I need to contact CJ to see if she can find a judge.
How difficult is that?
And he has done so.
Right.
Let's grant them that.
Okay.
But I'm saying that what is the Chief Justice's own duty to the state? Her duty to the state is to do, I know, at least 2-3 judges, Supreme Court judges who are in town. I know. They are in town. They haven't traveled.
And that would have been enough to sit on the...
That would have been enough. A single judge.
Okay.
She didn't need to empanel 7, do a panel of 7.
Right.
A single judge would be suffice for an injunction application. So I'm saying that, please, you will get that single judge to come and listen to the NDC and the other parties and tell them that, hey, I've thrown you out, I'll not grant it. Then people would have seen justice being served. But where, not only that, now you came, you are within the jurisdiction. The Chief Justice can herself be a sole judge, isn't it? Isn't it?
True.
Now Chief Justice comes within the jurisdiction. Now she gives instructions that fix the date for 17th October, when the exercise ends on 3rd October. How do you want people to interpret that kind of conduct?
I get it. Oh, no,
You understand?
I get it.
So now, the fears that John Mahama has is being played out before our eyes. So we do now continue to fault him when he says that the Supreme Court seems to be doing the bidding of AKUFO ADDO and his government. Because clearly, this is injustice at the highest.
Okay.
Injustice at the highest, because these are the rights of ordinary Ghanaians whose taxes they use to pay you, the Chief Justice.
All right.
You, the Chief Justice, have sworn to keep the sanctity of the laws of this country.
Okay.
So if we are beginning to see these things, and you see, some of us are beginning to see, Gloria AKUFO, is it no?
Sophia AKUFO, the former CJ.
What did she say when she went picketing with the people? He says, now I'm free from the shackles of my office. Now I can do A, B, C, D.
Okay.
So it tells you that what we are saying is that we are pleading with the judiciary.
Okay.
Live above board so that nobody have that perception.
Exert your independence.
Yes, exert your independence. So nobody has that perception that you are playing to a certain gallery.
All right. Kingsley, what do you have to say about this?
Well, thank you very much. So, you see, what the president said, you played the president's speech. I think you should have played the former president's speech as well, because the import of what he's saying is the balancing of the bench.
Okay.
And I think that's what it is.
Okay.
If he's saying he's balancing, then it means he's going to
appoint NDC,
appoint NDC lawyers.
As judges.
And that is what he means by that, if he says he's going to balance the panel. Now, you see, that for us, it is very dangerous because it looks like the former president has this brush painting judges with party colors. And we don't go to court just for constitutional matters. We go to court for several other issues.
Right.
And so you shouldn't be sensitizing the public's mind that because these judges are NDC or MPP, the decision went this way or that way. That is very problematic. Very, very problematic. Okay? Now, we could mention judges who were NDC MPs, served 2 terms, who are now judges either at the High Court or at the Appeal Court. We could mention their names. All right? We could also mention judges who are appointed by President Tamils. In fact, the current CJ was appointed by President Tamils to the Appeal Court. Did they make her NDC? No. Justice Apau was a deputy minister at Brown Hafo, the then Brown Hafo, and PNDC time. They didn't make him, when he sat, an NDC judge. No. We have to look at the judgments coming out, whether they are in conformity with the law or not. Otherwise, we will get to a place where the bench will be colored. So people go in there, their minds are that because, and it's only a CJ who will panel the bench, or the panel, okay? Because they seem to be 4, and we actually choose. It is 4-1 panel, and therefore, no, let's not do that to this Ghana we are building at all. And that is what the president was talking about. All right? That's what the president was talking about. That you cannot, should we say that Sophia AKUFO was appointed by Rollins and therefore she was NDC? And she herself was making that point. And therefore she was NDC? No. Should we, and my learned friend said that because she says now, it is the oath that she took that she will not make public comment because she is a judge. That's what she said. Now she's no more. Indeed, should we also say that in her condemnation of the former president, that because the shackles have been removed, then everything she said about the former president, you agree with that? Is that what you are saying?
I'm saying that whilst sitting here, would you say AKUFO ADDO didn't say the same things?
The same thing when?
He was at opposition.
Did he say that? Did he say that when he wins? Nobody's being hypocritical, please.
And that is the problem.
Did you say that when he comes, he will empanel MPP judges?
That's
a very dangerous thing. And you see, no other person but the NDC as a party is in support of what the former president said. No other person. Otherwise, the former Chief Justice has no political persuasions. She comments on national issues which she thinks are bothersome to the people of Ghana. Some goes against the MPP. All right, some goes against NDC.
You see,
and so then let's lose her rather as a balanced person.
The issues that we are talking about.
As a balanced person.
For
should
instance,
we now say that because Mr. George Lowe, Mr. George Lowe, you are taking Mr. George Lowe, Mr. George Lowe, you are taking my time. You are taking my time. You are taking my time. You are taking my time.
So by practice,
Mr. George Lowe, you are taking my time.
Very well.
You are taking my time.
Kingsley, please go ahead.
But you have had your time.
Take your time.
I can't even also come and take your time.
Okay, yeah,
you have exhausted your time.
No worries,
Please.
take your time. You go.
Justice
It's a fair point, yes.
Justice Bafuboni spent a very short time at the appeal court, came to Supreme Court by President AKUFO. Election petition 2013. Did he not rule against NPP? Did he make him an NPP judge? What are we doing to ourselves? The fact is that the facts come before you, the law, procedure, facts. Turn it around and then come out with a judgment based on what the various parties have urged on you. If you're going to say the president has appointed a lot of judges, it's a feather in his cap. Why? A lot of courts have been built. I have had one matter at a divorce and matrimonial court because there are only 3. It's gone on and on for years. Now, I wish I had taken it to a court outside the court complex because then it could have been faster. And this is a feather to the president's cap. Some of them were actually built by President Mahama. He also built some courts. This president has built more courts.
So, Kingsley, are you saying it is
that's
not possible?
That's what we are talking about.
No.
You are limiting it to the EC and this. Again, you are taking my time. Again, you are taking my. Again, you are taking my time, Mr. Lowe. You are taking my time, Mr. Lowe. Mr. Lowe, you are Mr. Lowe. You are taking my time. We could do this on and on. Both of us are legal.
Yeah, Kingsley, please go ahead. 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 No, I was even asking you a question, Kingsley. I was asking you a question that.
Now,
Pet, what you're saying?
Yes.
Are you saying that it is not possible for a judge to have a bias?
you know, that's a natural predilection of a judge.
Yeah, so that's
all right. That's a natural predilection of a judge. As to whether he is purposefully being an NDC or MPP judge,
a political bias.
come on.
That you don't think it exists.
We have no. I'm not saying that. You see,
Okay.
don't over push the agenda of whether a judge can be biased or
Yes.
not. That is why we have appeal system. That's why we appeal matters to. But that is why there are times where the judge will assume a wrong jurisdiction. We go for certiorari to come and quash it.
Okay.
All right. That's the reason why we actually prohibit certain judges from sitting on certain
certain cases. Okay.
So that's a moot matter.
Okay.
The fact that you would put it in there, because you see, we will refer to Afrobarometer. We will refer to perceptions and perceptions.
Good.
Where in Ghana, we are now creating that perception and fueling it. The comment that the former president made is an oxygen that is intended to fuel a perception. Then we'll now go and rely on that so-called perception as a report and then come and use that to make an argument.
Okay.
When we have now created that perception, how can you say that you will now appoint NDC? Do we have an NDC judge or MPP judge?
Okay.
The person who prosecuted J. Rawlings, J.E. Akins, all right, it is said that the questions he asked rather made J. Rawlings popular. Later on, J. Rawlings now appointed him to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
J.E. Akins was one of the judges who said 31st December cannot be celebrated because the law was in progress.
Okay.
We all go to court to drink from the streams of justice.
All right. Kingsley,
We shouldn't have a polluted mind when we are going to court.
I understand
That's the point we are making.
Great point. Fantastic point.
But just 1 second. You see, that is my problem. I agree with you that nobody should go before a court with a polluted mind. But the actions sometimes are the things that make the ordinary Ghanaian who may not have the sophistication that he has or I
to develop that kind of prejudice.
To develop that kind of, because for them, it is the street talk that fuels their opinion.
In that case, let's not have people who have stood in dignified positions as president fuel any narrative that will now enforce the wrong perception and emphasis on the wrong perception.
Kamal and Honorable,
You see?
please let's rest. I want you to rest, okay, so that I can bring in, because Michael, you're always eating into Michael's time. Michael has 5 minutes to deliver on this. Michael, you are not a lawyer.
No more 8.
No, you are not a lawyer. So as for you, 5 minutes should be fine. Because actually, we have just exactly 5 minutes to go. I beg you.
Right. Thank you very much, Moro. So Kingsley, for instance, talked about perception.
Yes.
And even touched on, I'm sure some survey reports, of course. There is the Afrobarometer, for instance. But you see, yes, though that may appear to be perception of the respondents in that particular exercise, it is also to a large extent based on observation.
That's right.
And their lived experience. Those things are actually scientific. If you are, popular in the research arena. One's lived experience and observations over time forms a trend. And you can actually rely on that to even make some conclusive statement. And so, for instance, if you have the Afrobarometer report saying that the trust in the judiciary is dwindling, and Ghanaians feel that it's not the ideal type of judiciary we would want to see, it's a problem. Because when you go to our constitution, the powers exercised by the judiciary emanates from the people. You get it? And so the people have a view as to how the judiciary conducts itself.
True.
Now, coming to the specific issue, you see, you can pick isolated cases, or you can single out cases. Oh, there was this NDC MP, former NDC MP, who eventually became a judge. There has been this. Those are isolated cases.
Right.
I think we rather look at the preponderance. What is the weight today? And mind you, we can choose to even have our own disagreement on that work. But there's been a scientific work by no less than a professor of law, a legal academic, on decisions from the Supreme Court and how they tend to go based on who might have appointed whichever justice of the Supreme Court. That's a scientific study. And when you take that study and you look at the litany of cases that were used to come to that conclusion, indeed, it was made such that it would be difficult for one to doubt the conclusions. Now, it was presented at, I think, Gimper or so, and we had the former, what's the name, CJ, had issues with how we talk about these things, not necessarily about, let's say, the methodology or anything about the research, a journey. And so we have a scientific basis to suggest these things. Now, what did His Excellency say? The president used the GBA platform for me, and I think he's been a speaker for this GBA conference for the past since he became president.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know whether it's the convention that for GBA platforms, you always have the head of state, the president.
It's not a convention.
It's not a convention. Just that he's a lawyer. And he's been very active in the GBA. In fact, he was a former Greater Accra president for a very long time. And so they are, in fact, they are saying that you should, let me just throw this light in. In fact, they are saying that you shouldn't even pay dues. He's now...
Because he has stopped practicing for a long time, hasn't he?
Yeah. So he shouldn't even pay dues. He's now a member for I think they awarded him.
No,
is this Latin phrase?
Life membership.
Life membership.
In many jurisdictions, it's allowed.
But
So you asked the question.
It's still
why
an issue. But of course, coming to the specific statements from His Excellency John Mahama,
Right.
when we say to balance out something, I've been thinking about it, is to even out something, largely. To balance means to even out.
Okay.
It does not mean that one would want to take undue advantage of the process
Okay.
in order to so benefit from. Now, it is also because of a scientific research that has been done, people's perception in the various surveys we've seen, and of course, conduct of judicial officers, like he mentioned. And people are of concern. Until when are we going to stop pretending?
Okay.
Look, your national security advisor.
I like
Is
this.
he-
National
is he-
security
is he-
This question,
is he-
it's-
when
National
we address
security
issues,
minister.
This question
all right,
should be more than
and then
enough.
you repeat the same position you held.
Yeah,
no,
no,
but he was also talking. He
hasn't-
didn't say anything.
in
You
fact,
see?
we've-
And is he-
in fact, we've
no,
been
he
running
did.
out of
He
time.
just said national security.
Michael, I think
did, you see?
it's a perfect
You
answer.
see?
The question you've asked
Let's
is,
security
not
how long are we gonna do
imagine
this?
that
It's great.
judges are political in their delivery of
Okay.
justice.
Let me do this
When we
quickly.
do that,
Yes.
it is very dangerous.
Okay, that's fine. So Peter from Isawam says, please, it is through it is true that the president is always, okay, sorry, let me just do it, sorry. Kamal Amasaman Bruni says, Moro, it is very unfortunate for the former President Mahama to seek to politicize the appointments of judges. He should have started by telling Ghanaians the number of NDC judges we have at the Supreme Court, as compared to the number of MPP judges in the Supreme Court. From Kamal, incoming Assembly Member for Amasama electoral area. And then just 3 seconds, 3 seconds. Just 3 seconds, I beg you, Jesus. This one here says, PK Kondia says, the caption, limited registration must be re-looked at. It gives a sense of limitation, which has no real basis. The EC talks of general registration before the 2024 elections, forgetting that even for that one, not all Ghanaians would be registering, except for those who still would have turned 18 by then, and those who, for one reason or the other, don't have the voter's ID. And it says, how different would that one be with regards to the expected registrants from the current ongoing so-called limited registration? My name is Aldo Moro. Once again, thanks for joining us for another edition of Inside Pages on Metro Television. Thanks, Kingsley Amakubuedu, George Lowe, Amwakwa Buedu, Murtala Mohammed MP for Tamale Central, and also Michael Abbey. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.